Hi guys, welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Kyra and I just love makeup so much. But I'm also a recovering beauty guru, and what that means is for the last 6 years that I've had my YouTube channel as well as other social media accounts, I've been buying all the makeup that I wanted to. If I saw it and somebody recommended it, then I purchased it. But now I am reining myself in, using what I have, loving what I have, and also tracking what I have. But another way that I meet my overarching goals for my makeup collection is by project painting, and today's video is an update for No Pan Left Behind. If you're not familiar with this project, the premise is that you pick some palettes, whether that be randomly, on your own, however you decide to do it, and then you work on using every single shade in a palette, and then you roll it out and roll something else new in. And I've had quite the comical roll-ins and roll-outs lately, so let's just go ahead and get into the update. So at the last update, the one remaining palette that I was working on was my ABH Norvina palette. This was my choice. How I have done this project so far this year is that I have a choice palette, and then I do 2 other palettes randomly. And so this palette was my choice, and I did use every shade in here. I really enjoyed using this one. Again, I had worked on at one point hitting some pans in here, which I have 3. I did not hit any additional pans, but I just love that this palette got more love from me. And of course, I'll be putting up the pictures of the different looks that I did with this palette. I did feel like I found some new combinations that I really enjoyed with this palette in terms of pairing different shades together, and that's one of the most fun parts about this project for me, is either finding new looks that I haven't done before within one palette, or combining the palettes in the project to create new looks that I've never created before. So I absolutely love this palette, and you know, she's got some love and she's going back into the collection. I also wanted to mention that I did build my own palette in a video recently with some of my Sydney Grace singles, and I did do a get ready with me for the eyes in that video as well. But my plan is to create a build your own palette for each season, or as I see fit, if I get bored with something or I use all the shades, and then No Pan Left Behind that custom palette. And I haven't really gotten into this palette too much in the last month, other than the look I created in that video. So the shades that I have used are Bronzed to Perfection, this one, which I believe is Rustic, this shade, which is Peanut Butter, and this shade, which is Honesty. I still have 8 shades to go in here, but hopefully I will have the opportunity to work with that some more in the next month. I believe at that last update, I had already rolled in my Revolution, the Emily Edit, the Wants palette, and this is my choice that came in for the Norvina palette. It has so many beautiful shades. I recently dug this out of my archives from Declutters, but I had kept this because Emily Noel is my #1 favorite OG YouTuber. I trust her, I enjoy her videos, I enjoy her family, and so when I purchased this, I was just so beyond excited for her, as well as I just think this is such a beautiful, well-rounded palette. I've really enjoyed using this in the last month, and today, using this look right here, I did complete the palette in entirety. I will say the shades that were the hardest for me to use were Good Vibes and Heartbeat and Sheer, just because they all sort of have a red undertone, and I'm not a big fan of either pinks or reds on my eyes, so those were the most difficult shades to use, but everything else I absolutely enjoyed. I definitely think I'm close to hitting pan on the Cream and Oh Heavens, especially Oh Heavens has a nice dip in it, so this would be something I would consider working on again in the future, but I really enjoyed it and I really enjoyed the looks that I got out of it. Like I said, I used the last 3 shades that I pointed out to you today, and then 1 shade from one of my new palettes. Last month, when I rolled in the Emily Edit as my choice palette, I thought, let's just knock out one of my big palettes and that'll be great. And I was really wanting to use those colors for the beginning of summer and etc. So I did randomly roll in my next palette. I'm not for sure the palette that I finished that caused me to roll it in, to be honest. I'm a little discombobulated when it comes to my spreadsheets and everything right now because I started school again. So anyhow, the palette that got rolled in for my last palette was the ABH Norvina Collection Volume 3. So these are special limited edition palettes that Norvina had put out, and these are pressed pigments. I'm gonna hold it to the side like this so you don't catch the glare, but this was the 3rd volume, and this was the volume that she specifically created for fall, and it has 25 shades in it. So I've used 5 shades in this palette so far, and I will tell you what they are. I've used A4. I'm holding it upside down, so bear with me on the numbers. I've used this green A4. I used the shade B5, this neutral shade right here. And then I used C1 and C3, and the last shade is E1. So, I mean, I guess there's no better time. I mean, I think while this was created for fall, it absolutely is a great summer color story as well. I'm just gonna be trying to take my time getting through these and do the very best that I can. I am kind of a neutral bee these days, so it's been a while since I've used these. I love having them, however, because I know if ever I want a colorful look or I'm looking for a specific color, I can find it in these palettes. I do have volumes 1, 3, and 4. My volume 2 is currently on loan, so it's not really here in my collection, but I will keep on keeping on with that one. And then I finished another palette and rolled randomly again. And what should be chosen but the ABH Norvina Collection Volume 4. I will say this is one of the easier volumes in terms of the shades offered inside. A little bit more neutral, nice purples, a few pops of hot pink, which will be interesting to try and use, but I did use 1 shade in this one today to do sort of the sparkly lighter pop in the center of the lid, and that was this shade, which is C1. Really pretty pinky peachy sort of sparkly shade. So other than that, I have no uses on this. My only shades that I won't be using will be the shades E2 and E3. These are pressed glitters and they are not eye safe, so I won't be putting them on my eyes, but other than that, everything else is fair game. And those are the palettes. So Emily is rolling out, and that was my choice, so I get to pick the next palette or palettes, which is what I've decided to do. We're at the halfway point in the year, and I'm starting to notice that 50% of my palettes are definitely not been used yet, but I have quite a collection of smaller palettes, like 6 shades, something like that. And so I've decided to roll in 3 small palettes at this point, and at what point that I finish all 3 of these, I will roll in 3 more small palettes. I have my minis from Natasha Denona and etc. And I think once I start checking off some of these smaller palettes, overall the amount of palettes that I have used will look more like it should for halfway point of the year. So hopefully that makes sense to you. But the 3 palettes I'm going to be using, number 1, I have 2 of the Essence 6-pan palettes. I have the Coral Me Maybe, which is definitely my favorite. Super fun color story, great for summer. And then I have the Nothing Compares to Nude palette. I have used 2 shades in this palette, and those are the 2 mattes. At one point this year, I thought maybe I wanted to pan an eyeshadow in its entirety. And so I thought, you know, a lid setting shade would be great. So I've used this one quite a bit, but the 4 shimmer shades are still needing their uses, and then I can check that one off. And then lastly, I have this little Lottie London quad that my daughter got in an Ipsy bag. It is a portion of the Rose Golds palette from Lottie London. And there's just 4 shades, but they're very beautiful. I can probably knock this out in one look. So those are the 3 that I'm rolling in for now. I'll probably not wait for the next update to roll more small palettes in, just because, and especially where these are my choice. I'm just gonna keep rolling in palettes and update you at the next update, because if I'm waiting for monthly updates, I'm never going to get through my palettes this year, and I really want to get as close as I can to that goal. Hopefully I'll do a little better keeping track this month. For those of you that have missed it in other videos, I am going back to school right now. I am in makeup artistry school online, so that is definitely consuming a good portion of my days right now, because of lectures, because of note taking, and because of practicing on faces. So just putting that out there, but I'm trying my best, and I'm definitely still keeping track of my project pan stuff in my journal. I just, you know, it is what it is. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, today's update, and seeing all the looks that I'm creating with these palettes. If you're doing this project, I'm curious, how are you doing? Do you feel like you're at the halfway point of the year and this project, you know, in terms of the number of palettes that you've used in their entirety this year, or are you feeling a little behind like I am? I hope you are having a beautiful day so far, and I hope all of your makeup days are absolutely beautiful makeup days, and I will see you in my next video very soon. Bye.